December 2nd, 2018, we're going to do a couple things. First thing is going to be the short shifter. I bought this Torque Solution one. There's another brand called Cartboy that's supposed to be a lot better, but I got this for $55 instead of $100. So I ended up getting this instead, and originally I thought it was black, but it came in silver, which is pretty much like the Cartboy one. I think it's a knockoff of it. I'm gonna put that in, and we're going to change the shifter bushings because it's very loose. This is the stock shifter rod. The shifts aren't very crisp. Feels a little loose, so I'm hoping that by changing those, that would fix it. Just gonna measure the distance between the top and bottom and then replace it. This is kind of hard to do with one hand, but essentially taking the midpoint, starting from here, it's about a 5-inch throw. Going the other way, it's about 4 inches. Measuring from the top of the trim to the top of the shifter, it's about 7 1/4 inches. There's 2 Phillips heads holding this in place. Unplug this tab. With a little bit of force, I just pulled this off. Shift knob just screws. Pretty sure the boot was supposed to be held on by these, but it's not. It comes off. These are both 12 millimeters. You just pull and it pops out. There you go. For those who are interested, this is about in the midpoint 2 1/4. 2 3/4. This is 8 inches, and this is a little less than 6. Next, I'm going to clean out this area with the rag, and then I'm going to put white lithium grease. So I'm going to transfer this over and lubricate it with white lithium grease as well. Have the grease on. The instructions say to push this down with a lot of force, but it's pretty hard. So on the forums, I read that you can use a rubber mallet to tap this in and it should go right in. I do not have a rubber mallet on me, so I'm going to put a 2x4 to prevent damaging the thread and using a metal mallet to tap that in. About 10 minutes later, I finally got it in. What I figured what helps is actually putting it on backwards and then putting the bolt in place so it holds it at a 90-degree angle upwards. And then I took the plywood and then I just smacked it as hard as I could a few times, and it finally seated in. So now I'm going to unbolt this, rotate this back around the correct orientation. Before putting all this together, since we're replacing the shifter bushings, I decided to pull these 4 Phillips head screws off. Since I have all this off, I'm going to loosen the bolts underneath, and then I'm going to pull this off. We're underneath the car, and the area we're interested in is this right there, and the bushing right there. So this is a 12 millimeter. There should be a 12 millimeter on the other side, and then one here as well. I have this flexible ratcheting wrench that's able to maneuver in this location, so try to get it off with that. For the bolts in the back, we have this 3/8 inch 12 millimeter socket with an extension, and then just the ratchet. So I was able to reach back up in there and loosen that. Right there in the middle of the screen is the other side, which we loosen with the same setup. I have the bolts in the back loose. Now I'm going to pull this entire setup out. This up. Kind of did this out of sequence. I probably should have pulled all of this stuff off before putting this in, but it's already in. I don't want to take it out again, so I'm just going to pull this old bushing out. Now I have clear access to the old bushing. I'm just going to push that out and try different things to get it out. They say to cut this right here and then push it through. I was able to use just a needle nose plier to pry that out. Let's compare the new hardware. It's a lot more solid than this piece of rubber. It's very flexible. This is not. Just for comparison, the width of this is actually a little bit bigger, but I don't think it makes too much of a difference. And on the other side, I have this piece of rubber and a metal bracket that it's attached to, and this whole thing is polyurethane, really solid. Probably the same material as that. So we'll have to put these in here and then reverse the removal process. The instructions say to apply a layer of lithium grease, which did not come with this package, on the inside and outside of both of these. So I'm going to apply white lithium grease onto that, and then also onto the inside of this rear bushing. We have our coat of lithium grease. This popped right in. I got the rear bushing in, just held on to this and shoved, with the other hand I shoved this into place. So I'm going to feed this back down into here and then put the front bushing back on. When placing the rear bushing back down, make sure that this is on this side of the subframe and not on the other side, because if it's on the other side, you don't have enough clearance to push it through here without removing this. So make sure it's on this side, push it as far as you can, then feed that through. I have this in, going to wipe off the excess grease and put this bolt back in. Make sure that this is on the correct orientation too, because I had it upside down and I had to flip it back around. Another note is that these bolts that they came with are 13mm, so the 12mm that you used to remove the previous ones will not work. You need to use a 13mm socket, and these are a lot longer than the old ones. I finished installing everything, and this thing was really stupid. So because it was cold, the holes didn't actually line up with the bolts. The bolts actually go in at angles from the side, bottom, upwards, inwards, like in this direction on both sides, this way and this way. So the holes lined up, but the bolts did not. I boiled this for about 5 minutes in order to soften it up, and then I was finally able to get that in. This was installed back in place. I need to wipe up that grease. Moving on to the inside, it's kind of dark in here. We refastened those 4 Phillips head screws. I put the boot back, put the shift knob back, put this trim piece back in, and this trim piece with the 2 screws over there. I'm going to measure the throw. We end up to around 3.5. In the other direction, we're around 3 1/4. In neutral, from the top of the trim, we're at about 5.5. Overall, the shifter is a lot more crisp. It's shorter. It feels a whole lot better. The throw is shorter. The height is also about 2 inches shorter as well, so it helps, because I felt like I was extending really high in order to use the shifter. Now it's much better with my elbow rested on the armrest. I haven't had a chance to drive this yet, but I think I'm going to like it.